So I'm picking up where I left off. And that was a story for tomorrow. Where was I? Oh yeah, I got to talking to these OBT racers, and the next day they were supposed to be in towers. I think I can look it up what the towers were called, but I'm not sure anymore. But anyway, there was supposed to be these tests going on up there by the doctors, and one would check their hearts, one would check their what was that? They were like in a circle, in an area where they were in a circle, and all the doctors were around, and every OBT racer had to go to each one of these doctors. So I was waiting downstairs, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and at a certain point, one of the security guards came to me and he said, "What are you waiting for?" I said, "I'm waiting for this doctor. Her name is such and such." And he said, "Oh, let me look up if she's on the list." And she wasn't on the list. And we were supposed to meet at 9, and it was now like 10 o'clock, okay? And I said, "No, don't worry about it. I will wait until she comes, because she is going to come." And then she was there like at 11 o'clock. I bumped into the guy that gave me the ticket, the press ticket, the guy that was supposed to give me a job. And he said, what are you doing here?" I said, "I'm waiting for one of these doctors to come, but she's not here yet. She's very late." And he said, "You know what? Come with us. Okay, I'll take you up there." And the security guard came outside, and he said, "That's okay, don't worry about it. We're part of the team, as you can see by our outfits. We're taking her upstairs. I know her. She's okay." So I went in upstairs with them, and I saw everybody was setting up, and it was still early, and but the doctor was late, like an hour and a half late. Now it turns out later that she had a problem with the car. The car broke down or something, and she wasn't on the list because she was a replacement for a doctor, and it was just like 2 days before that, and the list wasn't updated and all that kind of stuff. So everything that could go wrong went wrong, and yet I got up there, and I'm just explaining to you how impossible things are, and how if God's hand is not in there, how it never happens because God's hand is not in it. And I went upstairs, and I saw Don Johnson there, and he was like unrecognizable. He passed me on the steps. I didn't even know it was him, while I was waiting for the doctor. I saw him come in, but I didn't even recognize him. And anyway, up there, the doctor finally came, and I said, "Where were you?" And she was explaining that car trouble and blah, 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 and why she wasn't on the list and blah, blah, blah. And she said, "But I have a favor to ask you, because you are really gutsy." And she said, "I'm a big Kurt Russell fan, and I have to do kidneys and heart. So when I listen to his heart, can you take a picture?" And I said, "I can do that." And then, when that point came, I took that picture for her. And I was actually taking pictures with my throwaway camera, and I was taking some pictures of Don Johnson very sneakily, I thought, but obviously not sneaky enough. So I was talking to the doctor. It was kind of a break time, and she said, "Don Johnson is walking this way." And I said, "Really?" She said, "Don't look around." I said, "Okay." And he was indeed walking my way, and he tapped me on my shoulder, because I was like, I'm not turning around, I'm not turning around, I'm not turning around. He tapped me on the shoulder, and he said, "Do you mind putting that camera away, because I think it's really annoying. It's starting to annoy me." And I thought, you know what? I said, "Fine, I'll put the camera away." But you could have asked it a little bit more nicely, like, "Do you mind putting the camera away?" I would have done it. You don't have to go like, "Man, it's really annoying me, blah, blah, blah." And so I just turned my back at him, and I thought, asshole. And I turned my back towards him, and I walked away, and I put my camera down. And then I walked back to the doctor, and she said, "Oh my God, nobody speaks to him like that." And I said, "Well, nobody speaks to me like that either. I don't deserve that. He could have just asked nicely, and but I was still in that area. If by now it was so crowded there too, and there was all this press, and and if you would go outside, you would never be able to get back in. So I stayed close to the doctor as we had our conversations, because she was a really nice girl, and we had a lot of fun, and I really clicked with her for some reason. I wish I would have asked her number, but okay, anyway. So at a certain point, everything was done and over, and everybody was leaving, and the doctors were packing up and everything, and I was, talking to her, and she was, I need to get ready, I need to clean up, and oh my God, he's walking over again. I said, what? He's coming over again. And then I turned around, actually, and then Don Johnson was standing there again, and he said to me, like, you know what? I thought about it. You're right. I could have asked you differently, but promise me, if you don't take any more pictures, then I will come back as soon as I finish this, what I have to do over there, blah, 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 and then I'll have my picture taken with you. And I said, done. Was that so hard? And he just kind of smiled, smirked at me, like, Jesus Christ, fans, And then he walked away. And that doctor, she went like, what is that with you? What is it with you? And I said, God. And I just couldn't stop laughing. I just said, it's God. I'm sorry. It's just God. And she said, well, I would love to hear what that story is all about, but I got to pack up. Okay, so she packed up. And I said, be ready, though, because you got to take this picture of me and Don Johnson. She said, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm just going to pack up, and then I'll be right back. So she was back, and Don Johnson walked over, and I actually held on to him. And she took the picture, and I just didn't let go. And he said, you can't let go. And I said, I know, but I don't want to. And he just left. And then I let go of him. And I don't know. I think for some reason I amused him. What I did notice was while there, everybody was going, yes, Mr. Johnson, of course, Mr. Johnson, right away, Mr. Johnson, as you wish, Mr. Johnson. And I guess I was the only one that didn't do that. I didn't bow, I didn't jump or anything. And I think he was amused, and he probably heard by my accent back then, it was way worse than it is now, that I was European, okay? And I later on found out from the paparazzi photographer, when I picked up my picture, that Don Johnson actually has a thing for Europeans. So maybe that was it, who knows? But I still think it was God. So that was part 2. And as you can see, the proof is shown that it really actually happened. And when after those 2 days, I went to go see Danny, and I said, Danny, I cannot say there is no God anymore. Okay, this is when God found me. God took me up to that challenge, and I can't stretch enough. One of 15 million people, one Dutch 50 out of 15 million, being at the exact time in Miami with one of 300 million Americans being in that exact time, also not living in that city, that the chances, you can't even calculate the chances of that happening, and those two people together on a picture twice. You can't. If anybody can calculate it, you tell me. Okay, you tell me. Out of 350 days out of the year, you tell me. Okay, so that was how I met God, and that is how I gave my life to God. Now I still had a problem with Jesus, and I will explain that in the next video.